Hello, everyone. My name is Kristen McKiernan, and I am the president here at AccuZIP. I would like to thank you first for taking the time out of your busy day to join us for today's webinar, which is going to be on the power of scripting. Today's webinar will be recorded. I'm going to go through a series of just some webinar basics in the beginning, and then I'm going to hand over the controls to our presenter, which is Dave Belmonte. So everyone should on your screen see our splash screen here, which says AccuZIP6 Advanced, Part 2, The Power of Scripting. Our Part 1 was on AccuZIP commands. And today's webinar is part of AccuZIP's continuing education program. Continuing education is very important here at AccuZIP for all of our customer partners. We want to be your go-to for everything educational as it relates to postal, mailing software. So the goal of the AccuZIP Customer Partner Continuing Education webinar series is to drive customer partner success by providing software and industry support-driven education and best practices expertise. And we've been doing a series of these webinars for the last, I'd say, I think about 4 or 6 months, and they're going to continue on. We have them regularly scheduled, so if you check our webinars page at AccuZIP.com/webinars, you'll see past and future webinars. Here's some kind of just housekeeping here, the webinar basics. All of the attendees are in listen-only mode, so if you're speaking, we can't hear you. We're not ignoring you. There is a Q&A box in your GoToWebinar panel. If we have time at the end of the webinar, we will be fielding questions and answering those live, so feel free to ask those at the end of the webinar. We will not be answering them during the webinar just so that the presenter can stay focused and on task. If you have additional questions, though, those definitely can be answered after the webinar. Please send an email to support@AccuZIP.com. And very important, in the subject line, put AccuZIP6 Scripting Webinar question. That way it gets fielded to the proper person for answering it. This webinar will be recorded, and it will be posted to our website for future viewing. So if you have to leave early, you want to share it with some of your coworkers, you're free to do that. It will be posted to that website. We will be doing interactive polls throughout the webinar that Dave will be launching, so please make sure to vote on those polls so that we can gauge your attendance and answer to those questions so Dave can continue on with the webinar accordingly. And lastly, as I mentioned, future webinar schedules will be posted at AccuZIP.com/webinars. And next, I would like to introduce today's presenter. Today's presenter, who I'm sure many of you have spoken with either in a sales or support level role, is Dave Belmonte. He is the System and Network Administrator and a Senior Product Specialist at AccuZIP. Dave has over 25 years of network, desktop, and server experience. Before joining the AccuZIP team, Dave owned and operated his own computer and networking company in Oregon. Dave has been with AccuZIP for over 13 years, and oversees all of the IT-related aspects of the business, including internal and external security as it pertains to SOC 2 compliance, as well as maintaining server and desktop uptime. Dave's part of AccuZIP's support and sales team and is a level 1 support and product specialist. So Dave knows the AccuZIP software inside and out, so you guys are in for a treat with his webinar today. And lastly is just a quick overview of what today's webinar is going to go over. It's going to be an introduction to scripting, how to create a script, how to create and use the script monitor and watched folders, commonly used scripting features, and then some special scripting features such as email and texting, SMS, archiving, and logging. So with that said, I'm going to hand over the webinar to Dave, and you can take it from here.
All right. Well, thank you, Kristen. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I know it's busy where you work and you're trying to get your mail out, but thank you for taking the time today. Hopefully I'll make it informative enough to to make it worth watching this. I'm sure a lot of you have used AccuZIP for a while. Maybe some of you are new to it, so hopefully we'll have a little bit of everything for everybody. So what is scripting? Some of you may already use scripting or not, but what scripting is a step, a set of events or steps that are used to complete a task or several tasks automatically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through creating a semi-automated process where you would either click run to start the script to process a file, or it would stop or pause in between some of the steps to ask for additional information. So maybe you've got a script that's set up completely automated, and then all you want is for the user to stop at maybe the pre-sort screen, fill in the the piece size, piece weight, or class, or whatever, and then continue on with the script, and it does everything else on its own, including CAS and COA, dedupe, and all of that. Then I'm going to show you a fully automated script where you can just set it up on a server or a desktop or whatever, and it's just monitoring hot folders throughout your network, your hard drive. As soon as the file is dropped into it that matches the scripting criteria that it wants to run, it'll actually import it, do all of the work, and output whatever you need, including the print-ready file, the paperwork, the mail.dat files, all of that. So there's a couple different ways you can use the scripting. And believe me, I've been on tech support with some people that have used scripting in such an advanced way that it's crazy. So once you get the bug of scripting, you'll want to script everything. You want it to do everything from start to finish. So hopefully I can show you something new that you don't already know. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is maybe launch our poll question. The first poll question is right here. Let's see here. I just want to know, kind of, out of all the people that are here, are you using the scripting feature at all? It's there, it's free. A lot of other companies charge for this feature. A lot of other companies don't even have this feature. Some companies have part of the feature. They have the scripting feature where you can add a certain amount of events, but they don't have the watch folder. So therefore, it's never going to be fully automated. But with AccuZIP, it's always automated. So we'll give it a few more. Boy, everybody chimed in there really quick. I appreciate that. Give it a few more seconds here. We'll close the poll in about 10 seconds. So there you go, close it. Let me share the results with you. So it looks like a little over half are not using it. So good, I can hopefully give you some information today where you can go back and start using it as well. So, and some of you are using it, so hopefully I can show you some more advanced features that you may not be using yet. So let me go ahead and hide the results there. Okay, all right, so you should be all able to see my screen. So normally what we do when we recommend scripting or show you how to do scripting is we actually walk through these steps during a manual process. Because if you just go through and you tried to set up the scripting environment where you would just pick the events, you may forget something. So what we always like to do is go through a step-by-step process of running your file manually, setting up the save settings along the way, and then when you build the scripts, it's going to be very easy. You'll just mimic those same steps that you just did using the save settings that you just made, and then your script should run exactly the way it did, but about 10 times faster than you doing it manually. So the first step when you open AccuZIP is normally you would just open a list. So I'm going to go ahead and point to a file that I'm going to import. And as you all know, AccuZIP auto-recognizes the file format and displays the first record. In this case, the first record is a header record. So, so that's good, because what we want to do is just say use header to bring this list in. Now, if this didn't have a header, say for instance the first record looked like this, we'd have to map the fields manually and create an import saved map. The benefit of having a header record is AccuZIP can map the fields no matter what order they're in. So if your fields are in if your first name, last name, address, city, state, and zip, or if it's account number, email, first name, address, it doesn't matter. Using the header eliminates any of that worry. It just automatically brings in the file perfectly. Okay, so the first thing after we import the list is we may want to optimize the database. So I'm going to just pull down Special to optimize database. I'll go ahead and select all those options and hit Optimize. Now, you don't have to optimize. I'm just doing it so when I build the script, I can show you a bunch of features that you can use during the scripting feature. So the next thing I may want to do after that is validate records. So I'll go ahead and open the validation screen. I can also select the NCOA option, okay? And then I can select any of the options that I want. And then here, all I have to do is create my settings. I'll just call it my validate. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to create one that's just called my validate settings. And then I'm going to hit validate. So once it does this, it's going to go through and cast certify your addresses, and then it's going to upload the file for NCOA, bring the file back down, and update the database, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So all we're doing right now is just making sure that we know what steps from start to finish that we want to do to process a list through the script. So this is going to be helpful when possibly maybe you have one or two people that run your mailing department, and if one of them gets sick or they go on vacation or they're gone for the day, and then everyone else in the building, no one else knows how to do a mailing. And we get this quite often. People call us, they don't know what to do, so we kind of have to walk them through it. But if you set up scripts that do exactly what you do every time, then the next person could just come in, open the script, and hit run. Drop the file into the folder, and then hit run. So this is done. It's ran through CAS, just ran through NCOA. I may want to print some reports, so I would open up my report screen here, okay? And I can select some reports, so I'll go ahead and remove some of these here. First report I might want to print, ECAS report, so that's a nice report. I may want to print a couple of the NCOA reports. I'll do the move by recency report and a results report. Okay, bring those events down. Okay, so I'm going to create a PDF. I'm going to do it on all records. So once I've created this setup, this is my save settings. I'm going to go ahead and save these. And I'll just overwrite this one right here. And that's it. Now this is done. And I can hit print. So what it's doing now is it's going ahead and printing all three of those reports. And I'll bring over this screen. So what it did is it created one PDF document. And in this PDF document are bookmarks. The bookmarks are named the name of the report. So it's nice and easy, very easy to get to. There's my box closed, move left no forwarding, and my forwardable move. So these are nice reports that you can give back to your customer. Okay, and then you can do this every time. With a script, they'll always be printed in this exact order. They'll always be generated with the file name and then e-reports at the end. I'll go ahead and move this over. So after I do that, the next step I may want to do is run a duplicate detection. So I'll go ahead and open up my my duplicate detection window, and I'll do a duplicate detection based on person in this case. Okay, so I'm just going to hit start, and it brings up my duplicates. There they are. And as you know, AccuZIP can identify duplicates even if the name is not the same or it doesn't phonetically sound the same. So Robert and Bob are the same person. We have a built-in dictionary that identifies Robert and Bob as the same person. Michael and Mike, Shelley, Michelle, those kind of names would all be caught as a duplicate based on first and last name. A lot of other software cannot do this. So I'm going to go ahead and close this window. And what that will do is update my database. As you see, the record that it's left behind that it's going to delete is right here. It's grayed out. Now I can just leave it like that. Nothing else will happen to that record. It won't get pre-sorted because it's grayed out and marked for deletion. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack the database and just remove it from this list. Because the next duplicate search I want to do is I want to do a duplicate search based on household. And the reason I want to do this is because if I have more than one person living in a household with the same last name, so this is a family. We have a Gene Harris, Dave Harris, Melissa Harris, and Kevin Harris. We also have a Joseph Kaufman and a Sally Kaufman. Okay, so rather than mailing 4 or 5 pieces of mail to the same household, identifying each one, then you're mailing 5 or 4 to this person, to this household, rather than eliminating all but one, because I don't know who Jane is. Jane could be their 3-year-old daughter. I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, update the database. Okay, and with AccuZIP, as you all know, we have a command feature here. I'm going to run a command called householding. Okay, so when I hit run, what that did is it quickly identified those family moves or family records, and now I have 1 record for the Kaufman family and 1 record for the Harris family. So that's what that household command does. And we're going to use this during the script. So every time we run a mailing list, we're going to eliminate the family matches and just put the Harris family or the Kaufman family. And we're also going to eliminate the individual matches based on the name. Okay, so that's done. So we've done that. Once we do that, now we'll go ahead and maybe you have a do not mail list or a do not call list as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this. I've generated a do not mail list based on address and zip code. So as you're sending out mailing, you may get one back that says, take me off your list, or maybe have people call and say, don't mail to us anymore. We don't want to receive junk mail, or they're on a list, or your customer gives it to you. You can generate a database somewhere on your system and just add these records to it. Add the address and zip code. So every time you do a mailing, you can identify those and pull those out. Now, AccuZIP does have an enhanced merge purge feature, which you can use when you run a file manually. But for just a fast way to do it, we also have a command that'll do virtually the same thing. So if I run that do not mail command up against the list that I just had open, what it will do is, let me show you my deleted records now. It quickly went through and identified all of those in that list that are in my list. And I even put a field in here that says it was found in that do not mail file. Okay, so I can go ahead and pack the database and remove those as well. So now I have a really clean list that's ready to pre-sort and move on. So the next step I want to do is I'll go ahead and pre-sort the list. So I can pull down sort to pre-sort mail, or I can click on the button here. And in this window, we'll just go through and set up a standard letter or standard letter mail and go through and save the settings here. So you would just go through and set up your settings exactly the way you would normally do it for this customer. You put in their zip code, and when you're all done, you can save the settings. So I'll just leave it under standard letter settings that I've already created. Okay, so when I hit pre-sort, it's all done, and then all we're left with is to print everything. So you're all familiar with this feature of going through and processing it through CAS, MCOA, dedupe, all of this manually. So that's all we're doing, is going back through and kind of saving the settings along the way and going through the steps. So we have it in our head. Once we create the script, we're going to generate the same events all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and print my tags. And I want to go ahead and print Intelligent Mail barcoded tags, and I want to create a PDF. So I'll hit print. Done there. The next thing I want to do is print all my reports. So I'm going to print my qualification report, my mailing statement. I have a saved setting for my customer, okay, and then a CAS certificate. I'm going to do all 3 of those. I'm going to generate a PDF as well. And once that's done, as you know, it puts it all nice and neatly bookmarked into my pre-sort folder. So it's very easy to find. Once I'm done, I can actually just click on the link behind this window and go directly to that pre-sort folder. And one final thing I'm going to do after this is I'm going to export the file. So I'll go ahead and click on Print Labels. Okay, that brings open this window. And I'm going to select Disk File because I'm going to output it to a file. So when I hit Continue, we automatically generate the Intelligent Mail barcode, and it brings open the export screen. So in here, I would just pick my generic first, last, address, city, state, zip, and maybe the intelligent mail barcode and the sequence number. Again, we want to save that setting at the end, okay? So this would tell me, it would tell AccuZIP I'm going to use this save setting. I'm going to generate a CSV file with a header and going to export it, and I'll just put it right directly in the same folder, and I'll just call it pre-sort. Okay? So that did everything. We went from start to finish processing a file manually. So in my folder that I processed everything, I have my reports that I created, my pre-sort folder that has my documentation. It also has my tags, all my mail.dat files from start to finish there, and the outputted pre-sorted file. And if I open that, you can see that it's just the fields that I require. So my printing department, I send them this, they print these on the envelopes or whatever you're doing, and then they can use these PDFs right there as well. So now that I've done everything manually, I can very easily go in and create a script from this. So to create a script, you have to have all the windows closed. So if you have a database open, I'll show you here, you won't be able to open the script window. Okay, so that everything has to be closed. So you have a blank space. You just pull out Special, Script, and that opens the script window. Okay, so I've already got a couple scripts here that I've created, and we'll walk through those. Those are going to be more automated scripts, and I'll show you how that works with hot folders. But we're going to create a manual script from start to finish now. Let me kind of go over the window here and show you what each one of these icons do. So the first one is to create a script. So you would click on that. It would actually generate a blank script that you can start. The next one is once this script is created, you can click Run. If you've got a file ready to go and you want to go ahead and just run it and test it, you could just click Run. It'll go through all the events that you just set up and go all the way through. If you want to edit that script, once you've generated the script file, you can actually edit the script clicking this option. If you want to delete the script, obviously you would just click on that. The next one is script text. And for some of your advanced users that want to programmably create these scripts, we'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, so if I just click on one of these and go to View Script Text, all these are, when we generate these scripts, are just text files that are in the AccuZIP directory. And if you want to do programmably go through and generate these script files, you can actually remove all of these. You wouldn't even have to have this information. These are just remarks, so you can tell what each one of these, like this 1, this 0, this all means something in those windows, and it's all explained here. So if you go through here, 1 if checked or unchecked, that means to automatically bring the file in. You don't need any of this for AccuZIP to know what these events do. You can actually generate these script files with just the lines that you want to do. You want to open the list, you want to run a command, you want to validate records. That's all you need. And we'll show you how to do that a little later here. So that's what that does. This is kind of a cool feature for the setup of the watch folders. You would click on this, and once you create the script, you can have it actually watch a folder on your network or on your hard drive anywhere 24 hours a day. So you just set up the watch folder. You can have several subfolders. Say, for instance, you have like a mailing folder, and then within that folder, you have all your customers have separate folders set up for them where they are FTPing a file to be processed. Okay. What's cool about that is you can actually set it up to where if your customer uploads a file, it can immediately grab the file, CAS certify it, run it through all the steps, and give them a report back on how many maybe deliverable records they have, how good the list is. You can give that information back to them quickly back into the folder, and if they want to go forward with it, you can have it pre-sort it and do all of that as well. So setting up a watch folder is as easy as just setting a path and telling it what type of files you want it to look for. If you don't want to set a exact file type, you can actually just say all files. But I would set it up to where they're only uploading maybe CSV files or Excel files or something like that, because you don't want them uploading a zip file and wouldn't extract it because your script is maybe not set up to extract it. Although we can do that with a command, just maybe you don't have it set up that way. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. The script timer is kind of a useful feature. I don't see a lot of people using it, but it is useful if you get into this. Maybe you want to run the script, the watch folders 24 hours a day, but you don't want it really running a script until maybe midnight. So you can actually set it up to run the scripts in the hot folders at certain time per day, week, month. Once a month you want it to run this script, or once a day you want it to run. So you can actually set up the script timer to only fire off the script at certain times of the week or day or whatever. Or you could just have it running 24 hours a day, so anytime during that time that somebody can upload a file and start working with that. This one is to copy a script. So for instance, if you have a script that you've already done, everything works great, you just want to tweak it a little bit for maybe another customer, you can actually make a copy of that script by just clicking on that, and I'll just call it new or whatever. Now I've got a new script that has the same exact events this one does, but now I can go in here and just modify these to match that customer and have it monitor maybe a different folder. This is just to refresh. So if I hit refresh, I can see which files these are looking at, or how many files are in the folder. Then of course this right here is the monitor. What that means, when I click on this, it's going to start monitoring this folder. And right now this script actually sees 3 of the files that it's looking for, but it's not going to do anything until I hit monitor. And we'll go through that after I do a manual one. And of course that's exit. So now you kind of have a good understanding of what those mean. Let's go ahead and build a script. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually create the script. So I'll go right here and I'll just name it my script. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to edit this. So I'll click on here. We have a blank page. So what's nice about this is it's very easy to create these scripts because, go ahead and open this or move it over here. I'm going to go ahead and empty everything in this folder except the original file. Now what you may want to do is once you've created the file manually, is you might want to save the information, save the file, the output, save the PDFs and everything, so you can kind of match them up to your script. But if you do everything exactly the way you did it when you built, when you save the settings, the results should be exact. They should be the same. So the first thing I want to do, instead of using the menu items up here to open the list or to special validate records or optimize database, I'm going to use them right here. So the first thing I want to do is File, and I want to use Open List, or I'm sorry, not Open Database, Open List, okay? And I'm going to bring the event down. And rather than identifying each event right now, what I'm going to focus on is just creating my script from start to finish, and then we'll go back and tweak each one of them, okay? Because if we get too tied up in each one of the settings, we may forget to do something. So the first thing I want to do is bring the list in. Okay, so when I bring the list in, then the next thing I may want to do is optimize the database, just like we did manually. And then I want to validate records, which is under the same menu item. Bring it down. Okay, so after we do that, we're going to cast certify the records, or I'm sorry, we just validated right here. Then we're going to print the reports, File, print the reports. Now the reports, there's a couple different sections. There's just reports, and then there's pre-sorted reports. So right now we're just going to print reports and bring that event down. Okay. Then we're going to dedupe it. So under the special menu is the duplicate search, or I'm sorry, select, show duplicates. So it's the same thing here. Select, show duplicates. Bring that event down. Now I wanted to do the duplicate search based on person, so I'm going to pack the database after I do that search. Then I'm going to do another select, show duplicates for the household. And then I wanted to run a command. Okay, so exactly the way we did it manually, we showed the duplicates based on person, we packed the database, we're going to show it on household, we're going to run the household command right here. Then I want to run another command. I want to run that do not mail command. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So now we have a clean list. I'm going to pre-sort the list. So if I pull that event down, now I'm pre-sorting. After I pre-sort it, through AccuZIP, the only way to generate the intelligent mail barcode is to click on the print labels, but we're not doing that here. We're just going to add a command to add that intelligent mail barcode. So after that, we're going to file print my tags from the pre-sort, and I'm going to also print the reports, and then I'm going to export the file right there. Okay, so my script is virtually complete. Maybe after I'm done with this, I want to send an email to my boss saying, hey, that script was done, or to myself. So I can add an email option, okay? Or I can add an SMS, so it can be sent to your phone, okay? So I'll just do an email for this one right here. So now that the script is completely done, I want to go back to the start and quickly just identify each event. So when I open the list, I just wanted to open the list of the file that we did before, which is on my desktop, called sample. I'm going to use the header, and I'm going to automatically bring it in with no user interaction. The next step is I want to optimize the database. So I'm going to use all of these functions and auto run. Validate records. Okay, so I'm going to use my validate settings that we set up before. It's going to NCOA, it's going to use all these options that I selected. Save. Oh, and here you go. So if you don't select auto run by mistake, it's going to prompt you. It's going to ask you if you do want to select the auto run, because what will happen is if I say no, it'll pause on this step to where maybe I can change the settings a little bit and then hit continue. But I want it to auto run. I just want it to go through and not ask me. So once it's done with that, I'm going to print reports. Okay, so if I open up here, I can actually select the report settings that we generated during the manual process. I want to auto run this. I'm going to do it on all records and create a PDF. Save. Then I'm going to show duplicates. Okay, so I want to show it based on person. I want to auto run it. Save. Pack the database. There's no interface to that, so it's just going to pack. The next one is I want to show duplicates based on household. Okay, auto run, save. After that, I have to run my household command. So what this is going to do is eliminate the additional records at the family records, and then I'm going to run my do not mail. Okay, auto run, save. All right, so now I have a clean list again. I'm going to go ahead and use the pre-sort. So in the pre-sort window, we created a setting called standard letter, auto run, and now if I hit save, so this is like one of those options that most people would either let it go through, or they may want it to stop so they can maybe adjust the zip, or who they're doing the mailing for, so they may want to adjust the weight a little bit. But I'm going to select auto run and save. I needed to create that intelligent mail barcode, so I'm going to use this command right here. All of these commands, by the way, are on our website, in our forum. There's a command section, and if you don't know where it is, you can always call us or send an email to support. We'll actually just send you the command if you need it. So you don't have to look for it. You definitely don't have to write one. You just let us know, and we'll take care of that for you. So I'm going to print my reports right here, create PDF. I want my intelligent mail barcode, and I want to do it as if it were on plain paper, so it puts my cut lines. So I'm going to hit auto run, save. I print my reports. I want my qualification report. I want my mailing statement using this mailing statement setup, and my CAF certificate. Auto run and create PDF. And the last final steps here is I want to export my file. Okay, we can set up the export map right now, or we could have set it up before. But once you create all of the fields that you need on your export for your print file, you just pick and choose whichever ones you want. Again, you can just save that setting and auto run, save. And it's just going to ask me where I want to put it. I'll just put it here. That's it. And then email. All right, so this email setup is where it's basically you would set up this ahead of time for all email. Then you could say who you want it to go to. I'm going to send an email to myself, okay? Okay, and then you can put in there whatever, you know. Okay, you can put whatever information you want in there. You can also attach files. So say, for instance, you wanted to attach a script event log so you can see all the events that it went through. You also want to add some of the postal reports, the e-documentation, the tags, things like that. You want those emailed to you, okay? So I'm going to auto-run this, and I'm going to save it as, okay, I'll do that. All right, so basically it's going to email, it's going to send an email after the script's done. It's going to attach 2 items. Save. Okay, so I better create an event log if it's going to attach it. And down here is the last setup that you may or may want to do is you want to, once it's ran the script, you may want it to archive the input files and the pre-sort folder into one nice, neat one zip file. You might want it to just do the input file, or you want it to delete the input file. So these more would go for the automated hot folder monitoring. So for this purpose, I'm just going to say do nothing. So this script is done. So if I hit save, okay, I don't have to check this box. This box is for the monitoring. So all I need to do is highlight the script and hit run. It's going to automatically bring in the file. And here, I'll move this over so you can kind of see what's happening here. Okay, so grab the file. It's actually CAS certifying the records. Here's the log. So if I open this log, you can see what it's done so far. So what it'll do is it'll just keep adding to this log. So if something happens, something breaks along the way, you can kind of look at the log and see where it stopped or what's happening. And it would help our support to resolve the issue if we knew that as well. So right now it's uploading the file for NCOA processing. And once it's done with that, it'll download. It's going to print all my reports and go through. There it is, downloaded. So these scripts are nice because you could just come in, get your coffee. If there's a file ready to go, you hit run, and you come back in a few seconds, and your mailing's done. It's ready to start printing. So right now it's printing all my reports. Here's my sample e-reports. Remember we generated this with the bookmarks in it? So this report is done. Right now it's pre-sorting your list. It actually just created the pre-sort folder, and the intelligent mail barcode was just generated. And inside the pre-sort folder, it's creating all my mail.dat files. It's actually generating the tag file right here. Now it's going to be generating the report file. All right, and that's it. If I go back out, there you go. So what it did is it went through and did everything manually. Okay, it actually created a log of all the events that went through. Okay, so it knows exactly what happened there. It emailed me this event log. It also emailed me those reports, and then it generated my output file right here that I can send to my print guy or girl, and they can print from this. This script is done. So if I needed to run this again, you just drop a file into that folder and hit run. So that's a great way to do it manually. We're going to pop up our next poll question just to see here how many of you are actually using the hot folder option. And this is where you would drop a file into a folder. The script is automatically running. and you just have it grab the file as soon as it sees it and process your files. Well, you guys are fast. Coming through very quickly. And thank you again for all staying on and listening to me. There's a lot of information. We can go on for days on what you can do with just this one feature, because you've got scripting, you've got commands you can add to that, and you've got the hot folder monitoring. With those three things, I mean, the possibilities are endless. They're virtually limited only by your imagination. All right, so we've got a few more seconds here, and we'll go ahead and close the poll. All right. Wow, 71 of you, let me go ahead and share those results. 71 of you are not using the scripting, the hot folders. Now, the hot folders are great. I mean, if you're using the scripting at all, most likely you can use the hot folder monitoring as well. Okay, and the way that works is, let me go ahead and reduce this down a little. Go ahead and take this one out of here. The hot folder, all you need to do when you create this, let me go ahead and hide the results so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, the hot folder monitoring is when you create your script, your manual script. Eventually, all you'll need to do is have it set up to monitor a folder for those files. Rather than pointing to a specific file, you could just have it monitor for any CSV file or any .txt file that drops into that folder. Okay, so you can have it do that. As soon as that file is dropped into that folder, because right now I have company A, company B, and company C that have all uploaded a file to my server. Okay, so in this script, it's monitoring for those. So what you would have to do is you would have to start the monitor here. Once you build your script like we did here, I built a similar script here that does pre-sorting and does all that. But with the hot folder monitoring, I added a couple tweaks in there with some commands that we can certainly give to you. And I'll show you where here in a moment. That would allow you to, once this file is done, is to package the complete job into a self-named folder, meaning company C would create a folder called company C with today's date and time. So if you ran that exact same file name again 5 minutes after you ran the first one, it would not overwrite the first because we put a date and time on the folder name. So they're all going to be completely separate and nice. So right now I'm going to set up, I've got a hot folder watching my working in folder, which is right up here, for any CSV or TXT file. Okay, so it's got 3 there. Right now, if I click right here, I can see the 3 files that it's looking at. All I need to do is hit Start Monitoring. So in just a moment here, it's going to grab the first file, process it, then grab the second file, process it, and then the third file. And you can drop hundreds of files in there. So if you can imagine, wouldn't it be nice if you had the ability 24 hours a day for a customer to be able to upload a file, have it CAS certify it, run it through a pre-sort, and produce a mailing statement, and that it can go right back into their folder, and then maybe hide the information, the other information, so they can gather the mailing statement and say, okay, here is your quote on your mailing. This is what it's going to cost to mail these mail pieces. And if they want to do it, they can give you the go-ahead, and then it goes through and does all the rest. Or it can do all of it and only give them the mailing statement. So if they want to do it, it's already done. Okay, and it doesn't take any man hours because it's already done. It's doing it automatically through the scripting. So right now it's printing all the mailing statement information. Just a moment here, and it's going to be done, and then it's going to move it to the out folder. So you'll watch. Company A is what it did first. It's going to take this pre-sort folder, rename it, and put it down here. So let me expand this while that second one is running. As you see, the folder name is Company A with today's date and time. This is seconds from midnight. Okay, so if I open this up, it has Company A e-documentation. If I open that up, and I told it to print my mailing statement, here's the back side, here's my CAS certificate, qualification report. Okay, I told it to produce all my mail.dat files. I told it to produce my pre-sorted output. did all of that manually or automatically. Okay. It also created a couple other outputs if I wanted a DBF or DBF2. So all of those are done automatically. So I'm going to go back out of here. As it's running the second one, company B, it's going to move that over to here. And then it'll go through and do the last one as well. Okay, and then now it's going to do the third one. Could have probably just put 2 in there for time's sake, but that's okay. It'll go pretty quickly. And then I can show you some other cool little things that we can do with the scripting as well. So if you figure you've got all 3 of these options with the commands that you can add to the scripts to really enhance the scripting feature. You can use the commands on top of the scripting as well as the hot folder monitoring. We can do a lot of cool things. With the commands, and I'll show you here in a moment, a little more advanced stuff. So if you've never used scripting feature at all, this may be maybe a little too much, maybe a little confusing for you, but this is our advanced class. If you need any help with the scripting, you can call our tech support. All of them are very well versed on how the scripting works, how you use the commands with the scripting and everything. So with the commands, I've got it set up on some processes on our server that process files. I'll go back to refresh this. So all the files are done. They're all out of my in folder. They're now only in my out folder, as you see right there. Company A, B, and C, all done, nice and neat, ready to go. What I was saying on this scripting feature, I mean, we can do some wild things with the scripting feature and the command feature. Say, for instance, you have a script that you want to run before another script. So let me stop this. Okay. So say, for instance, all 3 of these scripts are manual or automated scripts that are monitoring hot folders, but you say, okay, I need this script right here to run before that script ever. Okay, so what AccuZIP is going to do is it's going to run these scripts in this order from top to bottom. It's going to look through those folders. It's going to run the script for CAS NCOA first before it does my script and before it does script pre-sort. It's just the way it's going to run. So a good way to resolve that is you can just name these in alphabetical order or put information here at the beginning. Say, I want to run this one first, I want to run that one second, and I want to run that one third. Okay, and then when we refresh it, it's going to run that one first, that one second, and that one third. So if you have a file that drops into a folder that maybe that you want it to run first, it's going to run that first file under my script or whatever that script name is. It's going to run that first before it even goes to this one. Okay. And if you really want to get into it, there's some other things we can do. All of these script files, like I said, in the text folder is, let me go to my script folder. Okay, under scripts. All of these script files are just text files. Okay, so if I look at my script folder, like the one I just created here, if I open that, they're just text files. Okay, so what we could do, but AccuZIP's looking for an SCR extension. Okay, so say for instance, in my script, I want it to run my script, but I never want it to run this one ever, even by mistake, before this one is done. Okay, what I could do is have a command in the first script. Let me see here. I'll just make this txt file. Rename this. It's gone. So I did that backwards. But either way, this script could run, and at the end, have it run a command to rename this one back to that. So once it's done this, it actually appears again. Then it'll run. So that's one little tweak that you can do to make sure that only scripts run that you need running, and after that one, maybe it runs another one. So there's some things there that we can do that we can help you with, okay? That'll allow you to do virtually anything with the scripting and the hot folder monitoring and commands. Because those three things, as they refer to in hockey as a hat trick, because those three things are very, very powerful and set us apart from virtually any postal software out there in the market today, because we can do those three things and gives it huge versatility. Let's see here. Okay. So what I want to do here is we just did that. We've gone through a lot of these. And I guess we can open it up for some questions since we only have about 10 minutes left. But let me do my last poll question. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to launch this. The last question is, after this webinar, are you going to use the scripting feature? Wow. Wow.
Excellent.
And I don't even, I mean, there's a few people, I mean, very few, that are saying no, and I don't know why. Maybe we can put that in a question and answer. Maybe it's too advanced, but don't be afraid of this. This is very easy. When I first started here and we had this scripting feature, actually I don't even think we had the scripting feature when I first started, but when we added it, this was like, for me, this is like going into a candy store. I mean, there is so much you can do. And if you try to eat it all at the same time, you're going to get sick. So don't try to take all of this in at once. We can help you. We have training that we can provide. In fact, if you go to our website, AccuZIP.com, let me go right here. Okay. If you go to our website, AccuZIP.com,
go ahead and close the poll, Dave.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Let me close. I get ahead of myself. I get excited. So hold on a second. I'm going to close the poll, and I'm going to share the results. This is outstanding, 93%. And I'm really happy about the 93% because I think I did a good job convincing you to use it, but I'm really trying to understand why the 7% don't want to use it or can't use it. And if it's because it seems like it's too technical, it's really not. It's just point and click like what you're already doing every day, okay? Or maybe it won't work in your environment. I don't know, but I'd like to find out if those 7%. I mean, we have a lot of people showing up for this this webinar, so that 7% is not really a lot of people, but hopefully we can help them through it. But let me go ahead and hide this now. All right. So you should be able to see my screen here in a second. There you go. Okay. So I went to AccuZIP.com, and let me back up here. AccuZIP.com. If you go to our forum, okay, if you want a script, right here you go to scripting. If you want a script that's already made, 100%, there's one right here, turnkey CAS script. That will do CAS and NCOA and output the file automatically for you. You just click on it, read the instructions, download the file, and you're set. We can help you set that up. Here's an automated script for pre-sorting. This will do the pre-sorting and move the file to another folder, name it. It does all of it. It's all completely set up. You just have to adjust a couple things to your environment. So it's very, very easy to set up, very easy to start with scripting. And again, our tech support will help you all the way through. All right, so we did that. I know we're running out of time. I could probably talk about this for another 30 minutes, but I know we only have 7. So questions, are there any questions, Kristen? Did anybody ask a question that I may want to answer?
Yes. So first of all, great job, Dave. You covered a wealth of information in under an hour. And like Dave said, there's a ton more, but I'm very pleased as he is that 93% of you are going to be using the scripting feature. For the few that aren't, please do send an email to feedback@AccuZIP.com and let us know, why you're not, what we can do to help you, help convince you to use this very valuable feature.
Right.
So let's see here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we'll field a couple questions. If you've put a question in the question and answer box and it doesn't get answered now, we will be sending out an email to you with your question and a response. So let's see here. Okay, one of them is, how can you change the mail date in a script? Most mailings go out 3 to 5 work days after the file is received.
Okay. Well, in our scripting environment, there is let's see here, for the mailing statement setup. Let me go to here. Let me go to scripts. All right, inside of our scripting folder, there's a statement setup, and I'm not sure, let me see here, if it includes the mail date. I would have to check into that. Most likely, that would have to pause if you did the script, or you could also bring open that pre-sort and just reprint that paperwork if you're doing it 3 to 5 days ahead of time. But there's a mailing date right here that we can identify as you see it right there, okay? You can put that in there, and I haven't tested that, but I believe that would work. So again, let me recap. In the script folder, there's a folder called pre-sorts. Inside of there is a statement folder that contains all of your saved mailing statements that, that you created during the script, okay? So what you could do is, if you're doing it programmably, where you're just dropping this file into there, you can actually have it, when you generate this, put the correct mail date, and then that information would flow through to all of your mail.dat files, your paperwork, and everything. But let me test it for sure, and then we can get back to you. You can always send an email, and then we can walk through that one-on-one.
Okay, excellent. And then to touch on what you were talking about, the pause feature, we have a question: is how do you prompt a user for input?
Okay, you mean the file input?
For input, it just says how to prompt user for input, or an input just during the script where you say pause for input.
Sure, sure. So in this script, this manual script that I generated here, any one of these events, like if I open this up, I just have to uncheck auto. So when I hit save and I want to know, so what that'll do is now when I hit save and I hit run, watch, when I hit run on this one, it's going to prompt for the file. So I can grab another file, or I can grab whatever file I want, and then just hit import, and it would run through the rest of the script automatically. Same thing with the CAS certification window, same thing with the pre-sort window. Just uncheck the option that says auto run, okay? If you don't check it, it's going to prompt you to make sure you want to leave it unchecked. Just say, no, I don't want to check it, I want to leave it unchecked. So then from then on, when it gets to that event, it'll stop. It'll pause for user input.
Perfect. Okay, so we have time for a last question, and this is a great question actually, and it goes hand in hand with our new path management system and trying to make that as seamless as possible. So the question is, we now have our validation event halt to select the correct path for our client. What would be the best way to automate this process? A separate script for each client?
Nope, you could do it this way. All right, so what I'm going to do is, just so I can bring it in here. All right, so if your script is monitoring a folder for a file, okay, if you're dropping it in there or you're having something write it out in there, so what you would need to do is create a text file with the same file name as the file that's already in there. Okay, so you just generate a text file, and I'll just call it sample, and then I'm going to call it .nlk for NCOA link. Okay, so again, if you're creating the file, or if you're dropping a file in there, or your customer's uploading a file, or whatever, you have to have a file with the same exact file name, so we know which one to associate it with, and with the extension of NLK. Okay, so when you edit that, all you need to do is put a name of the customer that you're running the file for, or you could just put in script. It really doesn't matter. Okay, whoops, script. And then you put a space, a pipe symbol, and then you actually have to put the correct ID. Okay, so if you go into your NCOA link customer IDs folder, you have all of your customers in here. Okay, so I would just pick the one that I'm running that script for. So this one is DA009. So in here, I would have to put DA009. Okay, so when I close this, or I save this, okay, so now this, in this one, is DA009. Okay, so when it runs this, when it gets to the validation setting, AccuZIP will read this file and know exactly which path to use. You remember that really the only information you need is this. Before this, you could put script, you could put XXX, it doesn't matter, but it has to be in this format. It has to have a name, a space, this pipe symbol, a space, and then the actual path ID. That way AccuZIP knows. If this path ID is not in that folder, it won't run through NCOA. So you have to make sure that that is the actual number on the file. Remember, you look at them in your INCOA link. Where's that? Right there, customer IDs. You know, everybody knows that all their paths are in this folder. You just have to pick the right one for that company. All mine say AccuZIP because they're just tests, but you would just pick the right one for that company, and it would use that during the script. All right, that was it. Well, we're right at 12 o'clock.
Yes, and a few of you had some follow-up questions. Like I said, we'll be sending out an email with responses to all of those questions. And if you don't get a response to the question or you think of something after the webinar, as I mentioned at the beginning, please send an email to support@accuzip.com with the subject AccuZIP6 scripting webinar, and we'll make sure that you get the answers to those questions. You can also visit live chat, pick up the phone and call us, so we're here to answer any questions that you need. So with that, we are going to conclude the webinar. I want to again thank all of you for attending. As David stated, I know your days are busy, and hopefully the scripting feature will free up some time, during your future work hours. And Dave, you did an excellent job. Is there anything you would like to say in closing?
Unless I want to start talking about scripting again, I just want to thank everybody again. And again, the 7%, I appreciate the 93% that say they're going to start using, and I'm sure we're going to get some calls and helping to get started. The 7% that are maybe it doesn't work for their environment, or maybe it was too technical or whatever, we can help you. And the 93% as well, we can definitely help you make it stronger and stronger to eventually, you may be able to let a couple people go and help your payroll a little bit. But if you're the one doing the mailing, don't let anybody know how easy it is. Just say you got it. So anyways, thank you all again. Thank you, Kristen. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you everyone, and we will be posting this recording on our webinar site in the future, and please join us for future webinars. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.